Hello, and welcome to the channel. And welcome to the very last entry in the Genshin Miku series. The series where we made the Hatsune Miku design for each element and region of Genshin Impact and chose the region, element, and weapon at random, with the end goal of creating a splash art of the final design. Since this is the last Miku, you've all already guessed the region and element, so I won't dilly-dally by taking out the Gachapon. Our last Miku will be Dendro Miku from Fontaine. For her weapon, the Gachapon gave me a spear. Fontaine was the region released before Natlan and is inspired by La France! And also Italy and England. It's the nation of Hydro and the most technologically advanced region of Teyvat, with a very Jules Verne steampunk-inspired look. Since this was the last Miku, I decided to go full circle and give her a non-music adjacent job, just like I did for Pyro and Hydro Miku. Because this was Dendro and there weren't any characters with that job in-game yet, I decided to make her a gardener, specifically focused on flowers. Her design was pretty straightforward for the most part. I already had a solid idea of what I wanted her to look like, so the design part was uncharacteristically quick compared to most of my Miku designs. Once I decided on what I wanted, I drew her turnaround to get a better idea of what she looked like with and without her apron. I also used these specific unnamed flowers from Fontaine's Flora as her signature flower. I also wanted to redraw the splash art I'd drawn for her a few months back. I didn't like the pose I'd given her and I felt like I could improve on it. But when I got to work, I realized with shock and horror that her design felt lacking. She just kind of felt a little bit too simple, and she looked more like a farmer rather than a gardener. I didn't want to completely scrap her design, but I felt like I could iterate on it a bit and make it cuter. So back to the drawing board I went. I first tried changing her hat to make it look less like a farmer's by making it sit straighter on her head. I shortened her apron, changed her half pants into full shorts, and gave her asymmetrical socks instead. I also added some embroideries on her apron to make it look a little more personalized, adding some flowers and a little bee to really drive home the whole gardener vibe. I tried a few more iterations on her hat, merging the strap and her bow, turning it into a French bonnet, before settling on a sun hat rather than her original straw hat. I ended up adding flowers in her hair and giving her bow a bit more of a butterfly shape. Here's the new and improved design. As you can see, I added a few more bows here and there and really leaned into the butterfly motif. I also gave her a teeny tiny bit of a tan since she works outdoors a lot. Once I was satisfied with her redesign, I started working on her splash art. I'd done a little sketch of the nude pose but decided in the end to stay closer to the original splash art and just make it look, well, better so to speak. During the sketching phase, I decided she wouldn't be holding her hat, but I realized while drawing that the pose was looking a bit too similar to Nahida's in her splash art, so I put her hand back on her hat because I refused to rework the pose again. Because I designed the first Dendro Miku before Emily, the other Dendro spear user from Fontaine, I'd accidentally given her a burst that was similar to Emily's elemental skill, just with an added healing component. So I did change how it worked. Visually, I figured the whole flower and butterflies motif was different enough that it wouldn't matter too much, especially since mine was more focused on the butterflies. So I didn't really change the look of the splash art, mostly adding more butterflies. I had this specific image in mind for her burst animation where she'd release a huge flock of butterflies at the beginning of her burst, something that was kind of inspired by the song Here Comes a Thought from Steven Universe, with the camera looking down from above as they're all released and she takes the pose depicted in the splash art. After that little animation, she'd leave behind a floral ring and a few butterflies as seen in the splash art. You'll get more details on how it all works at the kid explanation part, no worries. As stated previously, Dendro Miku is a flower gardener and horticulturist with a vast knowledge of flowers and how to care for them. She takes care of the flowers in the court of Fontaine, making sure they're tended to and in good health. She's fairly mild-mannered, and while she doesn't mind socializing and is comfortable around people, she tends to keep to herself. When I decided to make her a gardener, I really wanted to reference the idea of music being used to help plants grow. I had this idea of Miku hearing about Liyue's glazed lilies and the legend of them blooming at the sound of music as a child, and thinking that singing to any flower would help it bloom. Now that she's older and wiser, she knows it doesn't really work, but she does like to sing to the flowers she takes care of. Cause, it might not actually help, but it doesn't hurt either, so... And here's our Miku. For her burst, she creates a small floral ring, summoning a flock of butterflies, dealing AoE dendro damage as they are released and healing all party members. A small number of summoned butterflies will stay on the field, flying close to the floral ring, dealing a small amount of dendro damage to opponents they come into contact with. Damage dealt by the butterflies will regenerate the health of characters on the field. If the deployed character is already at max health, characters off-field will be healed. The floral ring provides continuous healing to any on-field character inside or close to it. For her normal attacks, she performs 4 consecutive strikes with her spear. For her elemental skill, she summons a small amount of butterflies around her spear, infusing it with dendro for a short duration of time. Her normal attacks become dendro attacks and heal her based on her damage outputs. Dendro Miku is a horticulturist and gardener who specializes in growing flowers. She works tirelessly around the court of Fontaine to care for the flowers and gardens. She knows all there is to know about the flowers of Teyvat and how to care for them. On a quiet day, you may find her singing to the flowers while she tends to them, an old habit from her childhood. Hearing stories of Liyue's glazed lilies had once made her think singing to flowers would help them bloom. While she's grown out of the belief, there's no harm in singing a little tune for them. And there we go, our final Miku. She's not super fancy compared to a lot of Fontaine characters, but she's a cutie pie, and that's what really matters. Anyway, as always, don't hesitate to share your thoughts on her design. We now have all 7 Mikus done. Pyro Miku from Nesnaya, Hydro Miku from Inazuma, Geo Miku from Sumeru, Cryo Miku from Liyue, Electro Miku from Mondstadt, Anemo Miku from Natlan, and Dendro Miku from Fontaine. Which one is your favorite of the bunch? I personally cannot choose. I'm pretty happy with most of them, but I think doing a retrospective design rework in a year or so could be pretty interesting. We'll see how that goes. While this is the end of the Miku series, I am planning on making some Genshin designs for the rest of the OG Vocaloid crew and Teto as a treat. Since this whole series was inspired by Project Voltage and they gave them designs, it felt right to do the same. They'll only get a single design row. My obsession with Miku sadly does not extend to the rest of the gang. It will take a while though, since I do want their design to look good, so in the meantime, it's mostly going to be Genshin character design related content. Think redesigns, fan designs, etc, etc. And honestly, I'll probably draw non-Genshin related stuff from time to time, whether it's original stuff or from other games, anime, or cartoons. Thanks again for all the support and love for this series. I do hope you'll enjoy the future content. I'm not entirely sure what the next video will be about yet, but if you like the vibe of the channel and my amazing charisma, please subscribe and hit the bell icon so you'll be notified once I post the next video. Thanks for watching and see you next time. Bye bye!